Well, this is creative.
Okay, everyone, please feel free to come in and take a seat. There are more seats. Closer in, there's one over here, over there, over there. So come on in, especially if you're speaking or if you're elected. Okay. And it's my great honor to introduce, to start us off, the fantastic honors music choir from Port Jervis. Why don't you sit Serrano and Assemblymember Ron Kemp.
Thank you so much, Lucy. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you, with my good friend Assemblymember Ron Kim, and his amazing work in this area on the arts and culture. We are really just so energized. We just walked out of a 2-hour meeting, Arts Day 2026, where we heard from folks in the field throughout the state of New York talking about the importance of the arts and culture on every level of our society, whether it be economic engine that the arts provide, the social and impacts, and the educational benefit that the arts has for all of us. And I have to say, as chair of the Committee of the Arts, I can't think of what we need now more than ever than the power of the arts. We as a society are facing some unprecedented challenges. We are stratified than ever before. We have less of an ability to find common ground, to coalesce around important issues. But the arts have always been and will always be that vehicle for social dialogue, that vehicle for social justice on some of the toughest of issues, that we galvanize around the things that we need to do in a way that only the arts can bring us to. So that's why we believe, as a coalition of elected officials, as folks here out in the field, that the arts in this budget have to be maintained, that we have to do all that we can to really go beyond the important words and rhetoric and actually create meaningful change in the way that we support the arts, artists, arts organizations, so that all of you can continue to do that transformational work, that emotional, that societal work, that of course, we wouldn't have New York City, we wouldn't have the economics of the state of New York without the tourism, with all the things that the arts brings. But bringing it to a level of understanding that we as a society would not have the foundational underpinnings that we need to survive without the arts. So I'm just so grateful for Lucy, for all of the folks who were involved today, for helping to bring this message in a way that few things have united us. At a time now where we're fighting about everything, we can all agree on the arts. So I'm just so grateful for all of that. With that, I'll turn it over to my good friend Ron Kim, the chair in the assembly.
Thank you so much. Please give it up to Senator Jose. He's been doing this since Steve Engelbright was the chair of the Arts Committee, and I was doing some math in my head. If you add all the amount of money that he's helped secure for the Arts Committee, I would say it's close to $2 billion.
Wow.
All together, and he's been an amazing advocate and continues to be a fighter for the arts community. I agree with everything that the senator had laid out. It was an amazing day on Arts Day. We're also going to continue to advocate, not just today, but the next couple of weeks, to make sure we get the best budget possible this year. And I would just add that when it comes to everything in our society, we've designed a system where we try to, what I call, extrinsically motivate young people and workers in our community, as if we're all a bunch of donkeys, right? We just need that carrot, and we're gonna just tag along. But we need, more so now than ever, what I call intrinsic motivation, an intrinsic link to our community, to our values, to our state. And that's what the arts do for us. Whether it's a film where you listen to music, you draw, or visit a zoo, all the culture and arts, what they give us is that sense of intrinsic motivation at a time where we're losing our drive, where we're feeling demoralized. We turn on social media, we're rage, I don't know what do they call that? It's so disgusting and so much filled with hate. And people are feeling socially and morally, and we need arts to feel, to heal us and move us forward and give us a sense of intrinsic link. And that's why we're here, and that's why we need to get funding. It's not charity. First of all, this isn't our money. This is your money, and our job is to make sure you get what you need. Thank you all.
And it is great that you're bringing that up, because we often talk about the economic impact of the arts, and rightly so. We generate 7.6% of New York State's GDP, employ more than 400,000 people. But the report that I first want to lift up today's press conference is about the social impact of the art. University of Pennsylvania has a social impact of the arts project. They've produced amazing research, and it is something we sort of know, as you say, intrinsically or instinctively, but it is great to see the data. They just released an update this past 2 months. It's not even fully published yet, but I can tell you that what you find is that the social and community benefits of cultural engagement has measurable impact on community health, on school effectiveness, and social connection in neighborhoods. And this happens the impact is the greatest for low-wealth communities. So if you compare low-wealth communities, families and kids in low-wealth communities that have a lot of arts and cultural assets compared to low-wealth communities that are sorely lacking in that kind of investment, what you find is that the high school math scores are 91% higher. The high school English and language scores increased by 32%. Low-weight births are 17% lower. Poor physical health falls by 24%. Hypertension is 28% lower. I invite you to look at this social impact of the arts project data. It is incredible, and it is measurable, and it is provable. We need strong arts and culture assets in all of our communities so that all of our communities can benefit from this. Now I want to bring up some leadership from the Assembly and also another senator. I'm so glad to have our support from our electeds here, and so please welcome Assemblymember Rivera, followed by Assemblymember, I'm going to put Dee Dee first, I know she's got to run out, and then followed by you. So Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett, a huge champion of arts and education, followed by Assemblymember Jonathan Rivera.
Thank you. I want to thank our chairs, the Senator, my colleague Ron Kim, for their leadership, and what a wonderful way to, first of all, start the day, but also to show what government can do and include all of you in the creative energy. And I want to thank the people from the 106th Assembly District, from Dutchess and Columbia County who are here as well. As a legislator who comes out of a museum background, I feel like, and a mom of 2 kids who are in the arts world and have been in various ways, I feel like this is the most important thing, along with mental health, that we do here in government. And I want to thank you all for being part of lifting up this issue. Legislatively, we sponsor a bill which establishes a history, arts, and culture fund for towns and municipalities. It's something that, in this home rule state, that gives local governments an opportunity to really put their money where their mouth is. And I have to say, I loved listening to Somewhere Over the Rainbow, because I know we were about the pot of gold, right, at the end of it. That's our job, to deliver that. And also, many of you know, we were very successful, and I led the charge on getting $1 million in the state budget a few years ago for a museum study, because museums in the state of New York have no single home. We are famous around the world for the Met and MoMA and the Natural History Museum and the Baseball Hall of Fame, but all of our museums are scattered around in state parks and in NISCA and other places. So this study, which is supposed to come together very soon and get the results, is a real opportunity to show the spotlight on what New York State's relationship with museums is and should be. And we really look forward to working with you all again to make sure that all is solidified. And then just finally, I want to say, I am such an advocate for arts education, because I truly believe, and I said this in the session over there, that for so many kids, art's the portal that gets them to stay in school, to help, makes them care about their future and their education, and that being part of a school play or an orchestra or a band is just as important as being part of a sports team. Mm-hmm. And that, being able to move and dance is just as important, as being an athlete or being a scientist or being able to, to express yourself in any number of creative ways that we can. And so it's critical that we keep that money and advance it and increase it, so that kids, as they're growing up today, can always have arts and creative outlets in their lives. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for your leadership in making this happen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Rivera, a member of the New York State Assembly, representing Buffalo and Western New York. had the good fortune of being the subcommittee chair on regional tourism, and in that, I've had the good fortune of going all over New York State, and I can tell you, New York State has things that no other state can even come close.
You still live there.
And I've been as far east as the end of Long Island, to as far north as Plattsburgh, to my own backyard in Niagara Falls, and everywhere in between, and let me tell you, we need to brag more about what we have in New York State. Not just the amenities, not just the museums, but the talent and the people that we have here. We produce Olympians in New York State, we produce Oscar winners in New York State, we produce NASCAR winners in New York State, we produce everything in New York State, but we don't think about it in that context. We should be bold, we should be proud, we should be unapologetic about every dime that we see in the arts, because you know what? We know that not only does it pay back tenfold, but it really makes us who we are. That is our difference. We can stand in the middle of Times Square, or we can stand in the middle of the Adirondacks, but we are New Yorkers, and we are proud of every mile of our state. And it's our job here in Albany to fight for it, and every dime of it we fight hard for. And I want to give special thanks to Senator Kim and Senator Serrano. And only add this, you know, the arts has all these different roles in our lives, and I could speak all day about the economic benefit, and we all know it. But at the end of the day, we are under a real attack in the arts. Not just as for us who advocate for money, we know that the federal government and what it's doing to everything from Medicaid to SNAP to arts funding to the NPR to everything. And we are standing at a pivotal moment that we're not only fighting for the things that we need to have for the future, but we have to fight for the things we already have. We see that in the erosion of Black history, we see that in the erosion of countless other things that this administration wants to do, but we together are gonna fight back and we're gonna keep our history. And it's a strange thing to be thinking about our history because we should be so focused on our future, but if we're not careful, every museum that says something a little different, or every, artist who sings about something a little different will be under attack. And you have to look no further than what happened this Sunday with the Super Bowl. I don't know how many Kid Rock fans we have here. But, I'll say this, and I'm sure my fellow Boricua, Senator Serrano would agree that was just an example of one artist, Bad Bunny, bringing to the nation a message through music that people enjoy, music that people dance to, music that certainly has brought, millions of people together, but with a message informing them of the real social truths that's happening in Puerto Rico and really all over the country. That's the power of art, that we can do it in the middle of the halftime and change minds and reveal hearts and really make a difference. So that's why we fight for the
arts. From Buffalo to Queens, we're going, but I want to just say, you're talking about, the federal impact of the impact of this federal administration on the arts, and we have a new report that's going to reveal something about that coming up right after we have one of our great culture heroes, Senator Kristen Gonzalez.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? It is so incredible to see you all here, and really a testament to just how big this community is. We got a packed room today, so you need to take a step forward. But my name is Kristen Gonzalez. I'm the state senator for District 59, which covers Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan. And my district simply would not be what it is without the arts. We have incredible institutions like MoMA PS1 and the Museum of Moving Image. We have incredible film stakeholders like Broadway Stages and Silver Cup Studios. We have thousands of artists throughout the three boroughs who have lived in the district and called the district home for decades. And so I am here as someone who really understands and can speak firsthand to how important arts and the arts community has been to making this district and my district so incredible. But I'm also here to say, for everyone who is not living in District 59 or maybe not in one of the districts from one of the representatives here today, if you are a New Yorker broadly, the arts should matter to you. It is not just because artists are your neighbor, it's because if you care about democracy and you care about fighting fascism, you should care about the arts. As you heard my colleague, Assemblymember Rivera say as well. If you care about our economy and economic growth, you care about the arts because it has been proven that for every dollar invested in the arts, we get $7 in return in our economy. If you care about education, you should care about the arts. If you care about mental health, you should care about the arts. If you care about the quality of life for all of us in our communities and making it beautiful, you should care about the artists that do so much work, from our public sculpture exhibits and our parks and more. And so this really is representative of, I think, a broader community, but really an investment in every New Yorker. And I will also say that, as was mentioned earlier, this is a moment where New York has a responsibility to step up. I mentioned why everyone should care about the arts, but really it's important to recognize that the state legislature has the responsibility and ability to lead in the country and invest more than we ever have before. Because we have champions like Senator Serrano who have been beating the drum, but also because in the context of the Trump administration, there is no better way for us to show that New York is fighting back than to invest in our artists. And I've done that in our district with over $4 million of investment. Woo! But it doesn't stop there. Investing in the arts isn't just funding for programming. It's also taking care of artists. It's passing bills that provide artists with housing, which I know we have. I believe Senator Salazar introduced in our body. It also means making housing affordable so that artists can stay in our community. I've had countless artists in my district displaced because of gentrification. It means making sure artists have the ability to afford materials, because we cannot take for granted the fact that it's not just having artist space, but it's also the fact that not everyone can afford to pay for paint or pay for hard materials or pay for even transit sometimes to get to and from their studio. So what I want to leave with you all with today is not only the urge and the mandate and the urgency for the state to invest in the arts, but really the idea that we can do more, that we can really protect artists in our state, and that should be a holistic fight. So I look forward to working with everyone here. You all matter. Coming up to Albany, I know it's cold, and certainly it's today's one of the colder days, but it makes a difference because every conversation you have is getting us a step closer. And as legislators on the inside, again, I will tell you, Senator Serrano has been so amazing in beating that drum, but we can't do it alone. We can't do it without you. So thank you for standing with us. And again, I look forward to winning all of this and more in the future.
Thank you so much, Senator Gonzalez. Okay, so we talked about this report. I'm very excited. It has just come out. It is by the newly formed Culture and Arts Policy Institute. It deals with federal funding for culture across New York State. Please welcome one of the co-leaders of the Institute, Maurizio Delfini.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes. Thank you for the privilege of addressing you today, Senator Serrano. Thank you for this opportunity and for being able to speak to you. My name is Mauricio Delfin. I co-direct the Culture and Arts Policy Institute, and we have recently released, today actually, an advocacy brief that talks about a headline that we would really like for it to sink in and for you to take back to the kind of work and the communities that you are part of. New York State culture relies on $60 million of annual federal funding. That's 40% of all public funding that the state receives. Now, we are facing a budget season with significant uncertainty about federal funding. We might think that we've weathered this storm recently, but that is not the case. This is what we are going to be looking at constantly in the current political climate. So ongoing vulnerabilities persist for the NEA, for the NEH, and for ILMLS due to current administration policies affecting agency workforces, budgets, and program criteria. Budget disputes, grant rescissions, and administrative delays being a factor despite recent budget allocations. So a key thing to remember is that we have more than 600 cultural organizations across New York State that receive funding from federal agencies. 600 organizations that we have accounted for, processing databases, obtaining data sets that are really hard to find. We need to have a conversation about the data that allows us to come up with these kinds of insights and strategic findings. But we also need to remember that this makes our state particularly vulnerable to federal retrenchment, delays, or rescissions when cuts are spread out among a large number of grantees. So another thing to remember is that regions are very different, and of course, where awards are concentrated among a few grantees, which is the case for all the regions except New York City, where there's a higher concentration of funding because there's a higher concentration of organizations, a delay or rescission of a single grant can destabilize an entire area's cultural landscape. We need to also remember that federal cultural funding is embedded in everyday operations, right? And we know that in high density of organizations, in areas with high density, the impact is deep. And in those with regional, with fewer concentration, it is spread out. But it is affecting, in that spreading out, it's affecting cultural anchors, organizations that we know very well are doing a lot of work for our communities. So funding cannot be treated as optional or symbolic, but it affects directly the capacity of our organizations statewide. Right now, we do need funding, the funding that we're requesting. We need more funding, we know that, but we also need policy change. We need policies that prepare us to deal with this dependency. We need policies, as we mentioned many of them in the session that we were just part of, and we need the kind of policies that provide structural change so we are less dependent on a funding environment that is not going to be on our side for the years to come. So thank you very much for this, and thank you for taking this one.
Thank you, Noah, for your work. I am very, very excited to introduce the third aspect of Arts Day with Arts and Education. I'm going to bring up a musician, an educator, and a part of the not only the Bronx Arts Ensemble, but the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable, Judith Insel.
Thank you, Lucy. Good afternoon, everyone. And good afternoon, particularly to everyone here, because you are part of the arts and culture community if you are in this room. So I want to tell you a little bit about my story and how it relates to arts education. As the executive director of the Bronx Arts Ensemble and a professional musician, I've personally known the power of arts education. My career path began in a general music class in an elementary school in the Bronx. So I just want you to really think about that. I would not be standing here right now if I had not had music in my elementary school. After that first exposure to an arts education, I was fortunate to move on to a Bronx middle school that had an incredible string orchestra program where I was assigned to play the viola. So I am still doing that. So that happened when I was in the 5th grade. And I'm not ashamed to say that I'm about to turn 57 years old. And I am still playing that same instrument all the way till today. With no idea of what a viola was, I was assigned the instrument and it quickly became my primary form of self-expression. I truly believe that everyone in this room wants the young people of New York State to experience a personal connection with the arts like I did those many years ago. Besides supporting a student's social and emotional growth, exposure to arts education can create pathways to careers in the arts and culture sector for all students, particularly neurodiverse students, students with disabilities, and English language learners who may struggle with academic achievement. So we have a lot of kids that have issues in academic programs. Why not push them in the direction of becoming an artist? As reported by the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable, research shows participation in the arts supports skill building in problem solving, empathy, attention to nuance, adaptability, visualization of goals and outcomes, and decision making. These are all characteristics we want all of our students to gain through their educational experience. There should never be a thought of decreasing funding for arts education. So I I will never understand why there would be an idea to decrease something that is so beneficial to every single student. The focus should always be on increasing the funding. Increasing, not decreasing. Senator Serrano is calling for $210 million to be allocated in the next state budget for the New York State Council on the Arts. NYSCA deserves this level of funding and more. That's still not enough. Remember, that's still not enough. To help support the many statewide arts nonprofit organizations that provide arts education services to the students of our state. In regards to the Bronx Arts Ensemble, New York State Council on the Arts has been a substantive supporter of our organization for decades. That's decades. Our organization is 54 years old, and we started having formal arts education programs around the year 2000. We could not have done that without NYSCA. We are serving annually more than 4,000 students a year with arts education courses in music, dance, theater, visual arts, all taught by professional teaching artists. Professional teaching artists. These are people like me that decide to serve students of New York City and New York State with their talent, helping them to learn how to become an artist. So this is a really difficult job. I did it for many, many years. And as we learned in the session, they're not being compensated enough. So this is back to the point of not having enough funding. We are starting from ground zero with not enough. So our teaching artists at Bronx Arts Ensemble are in Bronx public schools during the in-school day and after school hours. So we're there from start to finish. If the state government provides adequate funding for arts education programs, it will create future New York-born professional artists, just like me. So I am still a performer. I'm here today. I was at the Brooklyn Paramount Theater on Saturday playing with DJ Mita. I will be at the Albany Symphony Orchestra this weekend playing the viola. I am still an artist, but I did realize a long time ago, if I don't stand up here and say something to try to help, there will not be artists anymore. I am perfectly fine with being the voice for many artists that cannot step forward and tell you from a personal level that we have to have funding to make this happen. Funding arts education empowers students to be their best. Think about that. So if you don't have arts education, you're actually going to be less of a person without arts. And every effort must be made to fund arts education in every school for every student in New York State.
Do things well. Give it up. Thank you so much. I am really honored now to introduce the executive director of the New York State Parent Teachers Association, and NYSPTA. Please welcome Kyle Velikovitsky.
Senator Serrano, Assemblyman Kim, Regent Tillis. To all of our arts advocates and artists here today, thank you for your tireless efforts on behalf of our 2.6 million school children and their families. The arts play a critical role in whole child education, and in this mom and child advocate's opinion, they are just as important as math, science, and literacy. It is not just about painting or music, it's not just about